What is up, Nuggets? It's your boy, Killer Pizza, here with a brand new video for you rascals and rapscallions out there. Now, for today's video, we're not going to necessarily be reviewing either one of these movies. We're going to be more so talking about the release itself, and that being Scream Factory's release of Slumber Party Massacre Part 1 and 2 on 4K. First and foremost, I got to mention, I am a little bummed out that we didn't get Part 3 in here as a triple feature, because if you guys are like me, I missed out on that original split feature of Part 2 and Part 3 from Scream Factory on Blu-ray, and that thing literally goes for like $200 on eBay now. I refuse to pay that. I had 2 and 3 on DVD, and I can't find them, and it's driving me crazy because I just watched 1 and 2 last night, and I wouldn't mind watching 3. But anyways, on to the release itself. Here is the cover, the split, and we do have an alternate little cover art here. And inside, this is something a lot of people have been talking about, is that the 4K itself is actually split on one disc. Then after that, we have Part 1 on blue and Part 2. And here are the special features, if you guys want to check those out. Anyways, I'll briefly talk about this movie. If you guys want to see my full review on Slumber Party Massacre, it's actually one of the first reviews I ever did on my channel. I'd have to go back and watch it. It's probably super cringe. I am a huge fan of the Slumber Party Massacre. I actually have 3 releases of it now. This is the original I picked up, the Blu-ray. And then we got this awesome steelbook that came out with the original 4K scan. I love this inside. Very creepy. So I could do like a re-review of this sometime, but when I was rewatching Part 1 the other night, I realized I kind of have the same thoughts and opinions on it that I did back then. So Slumber Party Massacre Part 1, it pretty much follows a bunch of young girls. I'm going to do a quick plot synopsis of these 2 films. It follows a bunch of girls that are on the high school basketball team, and they're going to have a slumber party together for old time's sakes, while they're jealous of the new girl just moved into town because she's really good at basketball and practice and everything. So they invite her to the party, but she doesn't come until later. So these are our main characters. We have all the girls at the party. I can't remember her name. I know the younger sister's Courtney, her and her younger sister. And, some guys, some boyfriends and all that shit. And we pretty much follow the massacre of Russ Thorn stalking around these girls and everything. And I just got to say, I don't want to go too far into this, like I said. Watching this movie back again, it absolutely rules. I love it. And it's only an hour and 15 minutes long, so if you have a short attention span or if you want something to go by pretty quick, this works really well. It's a lot of fun. I think a lot of early slasher movies, or just bad slasher movies, or bad horror movies in general, could really benefit from cutting things down. I see a lot of bad horror movies that are like an hour and 45 minutes. If you're not going to do 90 minutes, it's like you could take away a good 15 minutes of dialogue and keep things moving along a little better, and that's kind of what Part 1 did. I love this movie. Tons and tons of TNA, tons of gore, and something I noticed, Christian Hannah Horror, I can't speak, he mentioned in his review, something I was going to touch note on, is they do a really well job of building tension in Part 1. Like, sometimes jump scares get outplayed, but I noticed rewatching this, there's 2 different times where they have 3 quick jump scares, false jump scares, where you think it's the killer in a row. And I just love it. There's like one scene where the gym teacher's coming back home, and then this drill goes through the front door, and she's like, "What the fuck? You think it's the driller killer?" The girl opens up the door. "Oh, I'm just fixing your peek hole." "Oh, okay, da-da-da. Will the work be done with?" "Oh, yeah, the van's outside," from the electrician guy, which is the van earlier Russ Thorn, the driller killer, stole. So there's like layers going back to what happened before. I guess what I'm trying to get at is this original film is so simple, but there's a lot of layers to it that makes it a lot of fun, and the suspense really keeps you going in it. And you would think with these movies too that like there's tons of TNA and it's just like a pervert movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's tons of boobs in this movie, but fun fact is every single movie in the franchise, I don't know about the remake 1, 2, and 3, I should say, have been written and directed by women. And the women are portrayed really well in all of these movies, especially in the first one. Like the handyman is a woman. Like, everyone, it's kind of cool in that sense. And I could go further into the movie, but another thing I'll point out, a couple things actually, is that after rewatching it, I really like the lack of music in this movie. Sometimes people overdo it, and I like that they only really brought the music in when Russ Thorn was coming back or coming around, so you knew it was business. And I also really like the victims in this movie, that even when you go back to like the original Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis, like she's terrified and running from the boogeyman, but there's points where she tough and fights back. These girls are terrified the whole time, to the point they need like mental help, like literally. And I think that's appropriate. Like there's a scene where one of the main girls stabs Russ Thorne, and she's like shaking and looking at the knife. I'm like, that's what it would fucking be like if you stab somebody. Like you would, people would say like, if somebody breaks in my house, I'll get them. Like maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't, but I think it'd probably fuck you up if you had to like resort to stabbing somebody in the back. But I digress. This is a really fun movie, really fun pace, good characters, really fun ending. And then let's move on to the second one. So this one is one a lot of people, especially like my friend Dennis Edwards, will always say is better than the original. I've heard that a lot. And I liked it the first time I seen it. Haven't seen it in a while. And I must say, part one is definitely the better of the two. Part two follows the younger sister Courtney, and she's traumatized by what happened in the past. Her older sister's in a mental institution, and she plays in this like all girl rock band, which is really cool. They're jamming the whole time, and they go up to this cabin to get away, and she keeps having these flashback nightmares, like Nightmare on Elm Street, where she's seeing the killer, but it's this dude with the guitar right here, and he's actually the son of the dude who used to own the Tigers, Mike Ilitech. I'm from Michigan. I should fucking know this shit. What's my problem? But anyways, I found this one to drag a little bit, but then once it ramps up and kind of gets in this dream sequence in the final act, it is one hell of a ride and a lot of fun, included with like musical performances and like dream-esque sequences. It's pretty crazy. They kind of take you off guard a lot. So when I originally was rewatching part two on 4K, I thought whoever said this is better than part one is straight up tripping. But towards the final act, I thought, okay, this kind of brings it all together. And this one is also only an hour and 15 minutes long. So that's pretty cool right there. So let's get to the 4K restoration of all this. I will say both of these look absolutely amazing. I will give the advantage to part two, mostly because I think part one was filmed in 1981. So, I mean, how much are you going to fix these up? And that's something I kind of feel about these 4K releases too. And it's kind of what's got me away from double dipping sometimes. That like some of these films don't need to look that much better. Like I got my nice Friday the 13th box set. If they do the 4K set, which they've released 4Ks already in different companies, Paramount, I don't think I'm going to upgrade because I think those movies are just fine on how they look. But like I said, I didn't have part two on Blu-ray, so I decided to pick this up. I probably would have gotten it anyways because I love the Slumber Party Massacre. But anyways, Slumber Party Massacre Part 1 looks absolutely amazing in 4K. I think what takes away from it compared to part two is it's like 90% of the film is shot at night. So though it looks good, not as good as part two, because they go up to this cabin, and this got to be late 80s when they made this, or mid to late, but it's got almost a 90s feel to it a little bit at the cabin, like bright white walls and just everybody's shirts and what they're wearing are bright neon colors, and that really made this fun to watch in 4K. It really, really popped. And I remember a couple scenes where the girls were like sitting on the couch in part two, and I think that's about 4Ks a lot. Like when I watch Jaws on 4K, like I sit there thinking like I'm fucking tripping, looking at this where I say like this is crazy. Once I upgrade to this 65-inch 4K TV in the 4K player, it's like it literally looks like they're right there in front of you. And it's hard to describe unless you watch 4K movies. Like I don't watch any like Marvel movies or anything like that, but one of my best friends loves that shit, and he was telling me how great it looks, and I can only imagine with like today's technology, if they can make stuff from the 80s look this good. It's like 4K is a beautiful thing. If you haven't made the step to get a 4K TV and a 4K player, I highly suggest doing it, and I would say get a region-free 4K player. Though I know all 4Ks are region-free, you can also play region-free Blu-rays in there, which is a nice advantage to have, especially when certain things go out of print in America. But anyways, yeah, I really thought Part 3 looked a little better with the 4K. And I think the audio was a little weird for me. I don't know what it was on Part 1, but the dialogue was kind of quiet. And anytime somebody started screaming from a kill or anything, it got really loud. So I had to keep going up and down. I might have had to switch like the settings on my TV, but I didn't. But regardless, I'll just say both of these movies are really good, and from what I remember from the third, it's been a minute since I've seen it, it was amazing too. Definitely not as good as these ones, but I love both these movies. Slumber Party Massacre is one of my very favorites. Like I said, go back and check my old review. It's probably cringeworthy, but I remember watching this, and a lot of things I was thinking to say if I was to do like a re-review, were things I remembered that I said in the original. So if you want to check that out, look for it. It's one of the more underrated slasher movies, in my opinion. You don't ever hear people talking about Slumber Party Massacre. I mean, you do, but you don't. You know, some of the more diehard horror fans will talk about it, but not as much as others, I feel. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I think this is a really good pickup, especially for two 4Ks and the 2 discs with bonus features. I mean, both of them have commentary tracks and documentaries. I think this was $27 on Amazon. A good pickup. And this is one of the few films I picked up on physical media that says double feature, where this is a legit double feature. Sometimes you'll get bored with films, and like I said, if a movie's bad, a lot of times it's because there's a lot of dragging scenes. But I think by eliminating 15 to 30 minutes in both these movies, making them both an hour and 15 minutes, make both of these movies a really fun ride, both are individually or together. And I think in that sense, an hour and 15 a piece makes this an easy watch for a double feature, and they both go well back to back. So I highly recommend picking this one up. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one. I think I have too many copies of Slumber Party Massacre now. But you can never have enough, right? Certain movies. I know I'll pretty much get any copy of Scarface or Return of the Living Dead I see. That's just how I roll. But other than that, I didn't want to go on too long with these videos. I know I rant on so long in like every one of my videos, so my bad, guys. But either way, hopefully everybody's having a good one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the videos. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz if you want. Either way, I'm just happy you guys checked out the video. Thank you very much for watching. Watch some spooky movies this weekend. Blood Guts Gore. I'll check you guys next time.